Hi, thank you so much for joining us here today. I'm very excited to bring our guest today, Ashley Mason, founder, CEO of Dash Social, and she's going to be speaking all about the power of online communities for local businesses, as well as the power of harnessing strategic partnerships to drive client acquisition for your small business. So thank you so much for joining us here today.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Susie. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, great. So would you mind telling us a little bit more about your company and who you help and what are some of what typical projects look like?
Absolutely. So my company is Dash of Social. I'm based here in Massachusetts. We're a content marketing agency that has been around since 2016, and we focus primarily on social media management, blog content, email marketing, and overall marketing strategy. So we support clients in small companies as well as tech startups across the country with managing their content marketing and building their online presence.
Love it. Great. So I know when we spoke earlier, you spoke a lot about how you use online communities to help out some of your local clients. So how could people like leverage, say, like a Facebook group? Like, would you sort of speak to some of those examples and what you and some people on your team do to help your clients get more engaged in online communities to create opportunities?
Of course.
Yeah.
So I feel like anyone who has a Facebook account is in at least one Facebook group for their town or city just to be aware of local happenings and what's going on in the town. And these communities are always so active and engaged. I'd say they have at least thousands, if not tens of thousands of members within them who are often seeking recommendations or referrals for people that they'd like to hire. So for any company that has a local clientele, that offers some type of service, whether you're like a landscaper, an accountant, or any other service-based business like that, Facebook groups are a huge opportunity for you to be able to promote your business and get potential clients from there. As you're scrolling through the feed of those groups, you'll likely see posts of people posting stuff such as, I'm looking to hire a landscaper for my house this spring. Who would you recommend? Or it's tax season as we're recording this. What accountant do you work with, and who's the best accountant to work with for myself? And it gives you the opportunity to comment on those posts as that service provider, if that's what you do, and be able to recommend yourself. So it's great to just have that visibility for free and be able to connect with potential clients in that capacity.
Oh, that's really great. So, and in these communities, do you just kind of refer client names, or do you like and then do they go through the website? Like, what does that referral process look like?
Yeah, great question. So many Facebook groups allow you to join the group as your business page itself, which is huge. What you would typically do, and what I recommend, is commenting on the post as your business page, introducing yourself, saying that you would be happy to support them with what they're looking for. And then I always recommend sharing some type of contact information within that comment. I think a lot of people actually leave that part out where they just say, hey, this is what I do. I'm happy to support you, but they don't share their phone number or their email address or a link to sign up for a consultation call. And that's kind of where the ball drops. So I definitely recommend either sharing that contact information so that the original poster can reach out to you if they'd like to learn more, but also don't hesitate to reach out to the person themselves if you'd like to send them a Facebook message and just kind of get that conversation going and let them know that you've sent the message. So that way they know to keep an eye out for it.
Oh, I love that. And do you guys send those messages on behalf of your client, or you tell them to go do it? Like, do you help facilitate that?
Yes. So we kind of kick things off. We'll kick off the process with reaching out to the people who are inquiring about these services. But then ultimately, the goal is to actually take those conversations offline. I think we all
Hmm.
kind of dread having to manage multiple Facebook messages at once. And so
Oh,
we
yeah.
always try to encourage people who are looking for those services to then take the conversation offline by giving our client a call or sending an email or whatever it might be. And then, of course, it's up to our client to actually follow through on booking.
Okay, I really like that. And it just goes to show, because this is something I fundamentally believe, is you can't just be like just shooting out social media posts and expecting things to happen, right? So you have
Exactly.
incorporated in the power of the online communities, a little bit of direct outreach. So there's, in a way, it's like a sales strategy within the social strategy, would you say, right?
Absolutely. And you nailed it. I always say the notion of build it and they will come is no longer relevant. I mean, it really needs to be a two-way street on social media where
Hmm.
you do
Yeah.
need to be publishing consistent, high value content, but you also need to be actively going out and seeking those relationships to build.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, seek relationships. So I'm just taking notes for later. Seek relationships to build. And like, what are some KPIs your clients measure as far as the overall performance of like one of your programs?
So we, of course, look at the increase in social media stats. That might be an increase in followers. We tend to not look too much into likes on posts. I think that's a
Yeah.
vanity metric for a lot of
Hmm.
people, and
Oh yeah.
so easy for anyone to mindlessly scroll through a feed and double tap without actually reading the post. So we like to look into the deeper insights, such as comments left on the post, shares or sends or saves, people clicking on your website from the post, and of course, from there, actually being able to track website traffic. I always say that social media is a vehicle, so it attracts people who might be interested in you and your services. But ultimately, its goal is to drive people to your website, where they are then given the opportunity to learn more about who you are, what you do, and how you help. And from there, it's ultimately your website's responsibility to convert them to taking that next step in the funnel. So being
Yeah.
able to show through the work that we're doing that we're driving that website traffic and kind of doing our job, that shows whether or not the program is successful.
Yeah, I really like that. Okay. And to your point, it's like you're very top of funnel, you're just checking out looking for those relationships and then, getting them to that next level of awareness of more of a consideration stage in their journey. And that's where your client can, take things over. But it just
Exactly.
goes to show that social media is a part of the sales process, arguably these days. And marketing is not sales and sales not marketing, but it's getting pretty gray out there, isn't it? And social media is really the
Yes.
bridge.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that can also be tricky about it is that when you're doing organic social media, unless someone specifically tells you they found you through social media, you likely won't know. And so it can be hard to kind of know the exact acquisition source unless someone says, I saw your post in such and such Facebook group, or I've been following you on Instagram forever. So it can be difficult to tie that client to a social media post specifically, but when you are able to, it's of course very exciting.
I absolutely, and that's because it takes so many touches and experiences on that user journey. They might consider read a bunch of content, whether they remember through that Facebook group. Again, it's or that first round of research they did on Google, and then they saw you in that Facebook group. So it's like people underestimate how many marketing touches it actually takes until somebody like actually takes an action, right? Like
Absolutely.
you're not going to click on something once and go buy something for like $3,000. Like it doesn't work like that. You need to like build that content roadmap of people to engage with your brand. How do you know if your social media is working or not?
That's a great question. So I think one thing that can be really challenging about social media is that there's often a lot of lurkers. So I think
Yeah.
people are very apt to right off the bat deem content to be successful or unsuccessful based on the number of likes, comments, etc. But there's so many people out there who are reading your posts and absorbing the information and remembering it, but just not engaging with the content in some sense. So it still could be considered successful if they saw your post and remembered it and reached out to you, but just didn't engage with it. So I kind of like to do a mixture of that, of just kind of keeping track of people who reach out to me and actually mention within that initial inquiry that they found us through social media, but then also, of course, looking into the analytics that you're seeing within the platform. So the things like the comments, the shares, sends, saves, website clicks, follows, all of those more in-depth actions that take a deeper step or take more time or effort for people to complete, I think means so much more in the long run.
Yeah, for sure. And it goes back to that impressions too. And I spoke to this yesterday on my own LinkedIn because I'm a big advocate of like CEOs leveraging their personal brand on social media. And a lot of
Oh,
them don't want to do it, but it's
absolutely.
a huge missed opportunity because it's one of the cheapest forms of PR out there, right? And to your point about the lurkers, like people might not be liking and engaging or whatever, but I agree with you, it's a vanity metric. It doesn't matter if the fact that you have anyone's attention, like attention is the currency these days. And the way you can get it is through social media feeds. And it just gives you access to people like never before. Even though engagement dips and things like that across like a lot of them right now, it still is like one of the most effective ways to reach new people.
100%.
So do you think that like paid outreach or I know direct outreach already supports what you do, but what do you think about like paid media to like amplify organic content? Like what other supports do you think in implement or can you implement that influence the client acquisition process, aside from the community aspect? Like what about paid media? Do you bring that in?
Yeah, I think paid media is awesome when you want it to tie it to some type of specific outcome, like building an
Yeah,
email list. And of course,
yeah,
email marketing is a huge component of client acquisition. And so being
yeah.
able to create ads, if you're a product company that shares a coupon code if you sign up for their email list, or if you are a service-based company and you have a freebie, being able to run an ad that kind of drives people to your lead magnet. then you're able to see directly too how many subscribers you receive from that ad itself. And I think that's huge for being able to ensure that you're getting in front of the exact audience that you want to reach and being able to be
Mhm.
particular about the people who are now seeing your content and are falling within your funnel.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I work with a nonprofit and I've been working with them for like 3 or 4 years and their organic reach on a Facebook page is like nothing what it used to be. But now she has a little budget too where she even throws like $20 on a post, but then it can reach like thousands of people in their community because they're like a community-based organization. But it's just a great way to make sure you get in front of more people. And I feel like you're going to get more from Facebook or Instagram. Like if you pay to play, they're going to give you a little bit more, right? Um,
Exactly.
yeah, and I know that you're big on strategic partnerships right now. Do you want to speak to a little bit to how like some of your clients and how you use them yourself to help grow your own companies?
Yes, this is one of my favorite topics to talk about in marketing, but and also business development really is what it is. But strategic partnerships is being able to find potential referral sources who can send clients to you and vice versa. So ultimately, it's people who share a similar clientele to you who perhaps offer a complementary service. So, for example, one of our clients is a product company who owns a lactation support tea ready to drink for new parents. And so one of the things that I said to her was, I was like, oh, you need to be in touch with doulas, with lactation consultants, pediatricians, even sleep coaches for newborns, like being able
Hmm.
to find people within your network who work with the people that you are looking to work with or looking to kind of get seen in front of, who can then plug and promote you to them. And so that's such a low lift on your part because all you really have to do is introduce yourself to that person, get to know one another, and then they're through grassroots marketing ultimately promoting yourself for you. And so it's huge to be able to have also that already credible relationship. I mean, if someone's receiving a recommendation from someone they trust, they'll be more likely to want to work with you or at least be interested in exploring that opportunity together further. And so being able to just kind of build a community or build a network of people that can kind of send business your way and you send business their way, I think can absolutely amplify the impact that it has on your sales and revenue and generating leads.
And it helps activate your word of mouth, right? Like I know we can't control when
Yes.
our clients do it, but it's great to have these other service providers. And I know it's like if you work with a realtor, of course, they're going to refer you to the mortgage provider and then, the lawyers and the accountants. Like there's just a lot of overlapping professional services out there as well that can do that. So, but I know one challenge with strategic partnerships is like how do you activate them? Like how do you build that trust or give them enough value to think to you? Like how do you make it a useful one? Because it's easy to say in practice that you're a partner with someone, but how do you activate it so people are kind of both living up to their end of the bargain?
Yeah, and I think it's really tough because when you recommend someone to a client or a friend or a colleague, you really hope that that person follows through on what they say that they will do. So there's already so much trust built into it. And I think being
Hmm.
able to kind of kick off that initial project so you can see how your partner works, how you're able to follow through on timelines, deliverables, like they're able to kind of get an inside look into what you do. So I think kind of having that initial beta project that you can partner on together, I think will
Yeah.
make them feel really comfortable and say, oh, they're the perfect fit. Now I'm going to always recommend them to our clients. So I
Yeah.
think
And
it
I,
really kind
mhm.
of starts off with having that initial project. But of course, just being able to reach out, have a conversation and say, just be open about it and say, I'm looking for a partner to partner with. You offer a service that my clients are looking for. I offer a service that your clients are looking for. Let's chat and see how we can come up with something together and collaborate. Then it's also important to nurture those relationships as well and just kind of be in touch with those people. Follow them on
Yeah.
LinkedIn, send them emails to see what they've been up to. Make sure that you're sending clients their way when possible and just always keeping that relationship going.
Yeah. Reciprocal, right?
Absolutely.
Support their content, send them work where you can. I actually have been in a situation twice where somebody referred me to somebody and then generally everyone has good intentions and I believe most people are professional, but I have had a couple of instances where to the people who were referred, like they didn't do their work or they disappeared. And anyways, it's just like the onus is on you, the trusted advisor, to, remedy it, which these people did both times. Like one of them was like, okay, this person's not going to finish the project. They were able to get the money back from that person. So like, you didn't finish the project. You didn't do what you said you were going to
Yeah.
do. And then in another case, yeah. So it's just a matter of making sure that you vet those people that you have those referrals with. But again, most people, especially these days, are pretty eager to do the work. So,
Yeah, that's a
just,
great point. And also going off of
mhm.
that, I will say too, one thing that's really appreciated as a service provider is that if you want to send a potential client someone's way, please reach out to that person first and say, I have a potential client for you. Here's who
Yeah.
they are and what they do. Would you be interested in this? I think being able to receive referrals is such a huge compliment, but I personally, and I'm sure you have too, Susie, have been put in difficult situations where referred a client and right off the bat, I'm like, they're not a fit or they're looking for something we don't offer. And now I'm in a weird situation of being like, I'm sorry, but I'm not the right person for you. And so I think being able to just reach out to the referral partner directly first, just to give them a heads up before facilitating that introduction, ensures that no one's time is wasted.
Oh yeah, I really like that. That's a good point. So something to keep in mind with that consideration. And any advice for anyone looking to make more connections and grow their business on social media these days? Like what's working, what's not working? Like what are some of the trends and things that you're seeing out there right now?
Yeah, with making connections, one thing that I actually did that was really successful for me was I think it was perhaps in January. I published a post on my personal LinkedIn profile actually saying that I'm looking to connect with service providers who are in A, B, and C fields. I have clients who are looking for these services, and I'd also like to chat about how I can support your clients with my services. And I just asked people to leave a comment tagging people who are in those industries and would be a good fit for me to connect with. And I got so many responses, which was amazing. I think I set up probably 10 networking calls from that. And so I would say
Amazing.
just do that. Just don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to put out into the world, quote unquote, that you're looking to connect with someone specific, because more often than not, someone will have the right recommendation for you. In terms of content that's really working on social media as well, I always say be personal, be human. You'll probably notice that the humanized content or the content that shows your face, videos that you publish will always outperform graphics or stock images. So don't hesitate to get in front of the camera and be a little bit more vulnerable, because ultimately that's what builds those deeper connections and relationships and helps you to get seen in front of potential clients.
Oh, that's great advice. Great advice. And what about like CTAs on posts? Like, do you find that people are trying to like drive sales? Is that too forward? Like, what are your thoughts on selling on social? Because I know a lot of people say no about selling on social, but I feel like it's kind of changing and people are doing it and making offers. And I see it working, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I always say selling is serving, and how are people going to know what you offer if you don't tell them? And so you kind of do have to be upfront about what you offer. I think there's a few different types of CTAs you can do. I mean, you can lead a CTA to a blog post if you've published a blog post, and then maybe within the blog, you have a call to action for people to sign up for a call. You can encourage people to actually leave a comment if they don't necessarily want to go off the social media platform. They can leave a comment with a response or a question. You can lead people to actually sending them to your contact form in case you'd like them to reach out further. I would say definitely make sure to include a call to action, because if someone liked the information that they read and the information you shared, you want to make sure that you're continuing to nurture that relationship and kind of keeping it going. But you're right, people are definitely doing that more often these days, and I kind of love to see it, because that's really what it's all about, is just helping people.
I'm like, I need to go back to all my social media posts and add a CTA. And your blogs, because it is part of the user journey. It doesn't need to be complicated. Like, Justin Welsh says, it's like social post, here's my business plan on a napkin. He's like, social post, long form content, make the offer within the content. I was like,
Yeah,
there you have it. It doesn't need to be that complicated, does it?
right.
Well, thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your valuable insights. I mean, if anyone's looking to grow their business on social media, I will drop a link to your website here. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Susie.